Greetings. My name is Amber Yaw, and I am a data specialist with study groups. In this tutorial, I will do a brief overview of some of the functions of our website, mostly focusing on running reports and graphs. Let's get started. Once you have logged in, you will see a number of available tabs. Please note that our members and reporters will have access to different tabs, so your view may appear a bit different from what you see here. I am logged in as a member, so I have full access to view my firm's data, as well as the data for the other firms within my group. When you have logged in, you are automatically brought to the Dashboard tab. Here, you will see a set of popular graphs appear. Additional popular retail and corporate graphs are available in the left-hand column. You may personalize which graphs appear on your dashboard by clicking Custom Page 1, 2, or 3 on the left and click here to configure this custom dashboard page. From the drill downs, select among your favorite graphs, name them, and click Save Changes. I will show you how to create favorite graphs later in this tutorial. First, let's go to the Reports tab. This is where meeting reports are generated, so hopefully the ending result will be something you recognize from meetings in our monthly newsletter. There are several options of reports on the left, grouped by data type: retail, corporate, lube, wholesale, and transportation. You may hover over each report for a description of the report. The Quartile report. This report will produce 4 columns that organize results into the different 4 quartiles. Index comparisons. This is a standard report that shows values for the time period you select. Trend comparisons. This will display the differences between 2 time periods you select. Time period difference. This gives you the option of selecting up to 6 time periods. Your result will be displayed as a side-by-side comparison and will show the difference between each period. The over time report is similar to the time period difference report, except data will be broken out into separate rolling months. The meld report. This is a standard report used at many meetings that combines the index and trend comparison reports and displays data for a time period and shows the difference from the previous time period. Today, we will be running a corporate index comparison report. The first thing you will do is select which index report you would like to run here in the Select Report section. You have the option to run all of the reports together or select individual reports. What you typically see in a meeting is all of the reports run together. To run all reports, select the 0 Top 10 Metrics option, and on the right, select Run All to Excel. To run individual reports, select the report from the drop-down menu and choose Excel as your output option. You also have the option to view the reports in your browser by selecting that as your output option. I'll be running the standard meeting report, which includes all 12 reports. Next, you'll select your ending date. This is the last month of the time period you would like to review. You'll select your time frame. This is how many months you would like included in the report. When you select more than 1 month, balance sheet items will be displayed as averages for the time period selected. Income statement amounts will be displayed as a cumulative number over the period indicated. The standard for many meeting reports is 12 months. In the Options section, you will select which firms you would like to include in your results. You have the option to exclude your firm from aggregate scopes, include only firms with no convenience store sales, only firms with convenience store sales, or only firms with lube sales only. The standard report includes all firms. Next, in the scope selection, you have several options for choosing which firms you would like to include in your report. Each item you check will generate a column in your report with that data. Please note that if you select a scope that results in fewer than 7 firms that meet that criteria, the results will display as an NA, or not applicable, in that column. The standard is to include my firm, my group average, and all selected firms in my group. If you do not highlight any of these firms, none will appear. To ensure confidentiality, reporters do not have access to other firms' data except through averages and quartiles. So reporters will not have the selected and aggregate firms sections as you see here. If members would like to see the average of specific firms, you may select aggregate firms and select individual firms by holding down the control key and making your selection. The national average is automatically checked. You may remove this from your report by unchecking it if you wish. You have the option of seeing the average for all firms in your region. Your firm's region will be auto-populated here. To see the different regions, click the question mark. You may see the average of firms in particular states. A column will be generated for each state you select. Keep in mind, if there are fewer than 7 firms in each state, the result will be displayed as not applicable. You may see the combined average of selected states by choosing the aggregate states option and selecting your states, again, by holding down the control key and making your selection. The top quartile and all quartile options include several categories you can choose from. The top quartile option will display a column that shows data for the top 25% of firms for that category, and the all quartiles option will generate 4 separate columns that show data for each quartile. The last option you have is the business mix option. Selecting this creates a column that filters results to firms with a particular business mix. If you drill down on the options, you'll see several categories you can adjust to narrow your results. For example, if you would like to only see data for firms that have an annual number of gasoline gallons of at least 100 million, you slide the total gasoline option to a minimum of 100 million. You may adjust several categories to narrow your results. Categories with untouched slide bars will be ignored. If you would like additional information about the business mix scope, click the question mark here. Once you have finished selecting your options and scopes, click Run Report. You will either have an Excel spreadsheet generated or the reports will appear in your browser, depending on the output you selected. Some reports can be quite large and may take a few moments to generate. As you can see here, there are 12 tabs in my report, each representing the reports listed in the Run Reports section here. You can see the different tabs that were, the different columns that were generated for each scope I selected: the national average, the business mix, my group average, each firm within my group. So that's how to run an index comparison report. Now, the options and scope selections for the other reports are very similar to the ones I've just went over. So I won't go over each individual report in this tutorial. I would like to point out one thing to note about the other reports. When selecting dates, you should enter them in ascending order, with the oldest date at the top to the newest date at the bottom. This results in data showing change as time moves forward. In the Trend Comparisons report, you select 2 ending dates to see the change between the time periods selected. So if I select December 2022 and December 2021 with 3-month time frame, my results will show the change from the last quarter of 2021 to the last quarter of 2022. In the time period difference report, you can select up to 6 time periods to compare by clicking More Dates. You may either fill in the dates manually or click on this Fill Dates for 5-year report ascending, and it will fill in those dates for you. Everything else in each report should be the same as what I covered when running the index comparison report. Next, we'll go to the Graphs tab. You have the ability to run a graph for any line item on any index report. For example, if I would like to see a graph that shows my firm's gross profit margin, I can see that it is report number 1, line number 1. Over here in the Graphs tab, in the Corporate section, I'll click on Custom, and I'll select report number 1, line number 1. You may add up to 2 different data points in one graph. Today, I will just do the 1. Enter in the time period that you would like to see with the oldest date at the top and the newest date on the bottom. The Options and Scope section are similar to the Reports tab, but you have the option to select whether you'd like to see the data represented as a line or a bar. You also have the choice of how you'd like to see the data presented. Index, yearly moving average, include a data table, and include prior year. The yearly moving average is great for visualizing overall trends. Last, you have the option to choose a color scheme here at the bottom. When you click Create Graph, the graph will generate in your browser. If you recall at the beginning of this tutorial, you may create a custom dashboard with your own preferred graphs. To do this, you would generate your graph as I just did, then click Save Graph as Favorite here. Name it. And click Add to Favorites. This graph will now be available to use on your custom dashboard. The other graphs you have to choose from are pie charts. You may select from a few data points in the drop-down menu. The remaining options are similar to reports and custom graphs. That's how to run graphs. That concludes our overview of running reports and graphs on the study group's website. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to your study group's data specialist directly or email your question to data@studygroups.com. Thanks so much.